So imagine this with me. We're out here at the hot springs. It's dark. You can't see what's around you. You can see the stars, maybe a couple of them, maybe they're planets. But either way, there's nobody else here. And it could be very uncomfortable for someone who's afraid of the dark. So here it is without the torch. And with the torch. Today is my second full day in Big Bend. It's actually my third day though. But today I've got acceleration gliders as my workout. And it's basically 10 minutes of warming up, either walking or a light jog, and then running. Normally what I'll do is I'll walk for 5 minutes and then jog for 5 minutes and then do the acceleration gliders. And I'm going to be doing that using my high-low impact shoes. And once again, it's extremely quiet out here. Can't hear any bugs or anything, no birds. I did see that sun rainbow earlier that I'm going to show you. And I hope that you're enjoying the ride so far. As I'd mentioned earlier, I was going to present a sun rainbow to you. It's an upper atmospheric phenomenon that I haven't really witnessed too many times, although I'm starting to see this more and more frequently as of late. Have you seen one before? What we're looking at is a sun rainbow, and this one is in the form of a circle going around the sun. You can only see partial glimpses of it. There's one on the left side over here and one equidistant on the right side. And on some days when the temperatures are just right and the ice crystallization is happening just so, some days you can see it going all the way around the sun. It used to be, I think, more uncommon to see these things. And now it's a little bit more common. Possibly there are more noteworthy temperature variations going on because of maybe climate changes. I'm not really sure. What I am sure of is that it made for some beautiful video and an interesting topic to include in this video clip. Another one done.
Timer stopped. Workout completed. Average pace 14:17.
yesterday's long run, I forgot to put these bad boys on. I paid the price. By the 7th mile, I got chafed to the point where I bled a little bit, and basically the hot springs helped me to heal somewhat, but just as a preventative measure, and because I was going to be doing faster paces today, I decided to put these on. Again, for the new runner out there who's thinking about doing some of these things, I'm telling you, there will be some points of contact that may be uncomfortable, and there are things you can do to mitigate that. You can use other things, band-aids, tape, and so forth. The things that I have are called Nip Ease. This isn't a sponsored video for that product or anything like that. It's just, that's what I found when I was looking for something to prevent that terrible uncomfortableness, and those things, these things really work. I guess it's fitting because we're at Burro Springs. Burro Burrito. Apparently, Drew State Cigars also has brought us some products. And ooh, twofer. We got one-time use paper and a bottle cap ring. Sorry, I'm trying to one-hand all this. See, ooh, I don't know if you just saw that. I reached to grab it and it was so brittle that it just fell apart. So, as you can imagine, the sooner we pick up some of this destructive pollutant, the better. Because as these things become brittle and just fall apart, they go into our ecosystems and cause imminent starvation. The plants and animals that are absorbing these microplastics are suddenly having difficulties processing the nutrients that they're receiving in nature. There's a mockingbird on the other side. Check it out. Maybe you did come to help tell this story. What do you think of these plastics and wrappers? I'm going to use the Merlin app now to identify that chirping bird. As soon as I started using the Merlin app, the birds went quiet. So I'm trying to show the birds that I'm not like focusing my interest on them, so they don't think that I'm wanting to hunt them. The mockingbird is behind me in that brush that you can see where the breakfast burrito wrapper is. And even if that wrapper was disposed of properly, the way that our garbage situation is, a lot of trash can be picked up, blown around, and transported for states because of the wind that's going on in our recent climate as it has evolved, I guess. I don't know what other words to use. Everyone uses words that are programmed into us as something we should either be for or against. Like if I said climate change or transgender or even trans fats. You know, there's words in the mix of the spelling that causes us to have a reaction. It's kind of windy out here, so I'll continue this video inside my vehicle. So in the past, I was afraid to share my insights in public. And last night I was at the hot springs, and it was an immensely rewarding experience. I got to talk to so many different people. The generational divide was still apparent because, as I like to put it on this channel, our example setters are just continuing to buy up the opportunity to live on a fixed income of comfort rather than of reward and passion and love. We're selling this park as a service to people. We should keep this clean. We should have reverence for it, all of us collectively. But to talk like that oftentimes sounds like a rant, because who is anyone to influence another person, even generationally, to consider something other than what they've been investing in? Who is someone like me to do that? And why does it cause such anxiety? The interesting thing is the anxiety is treated in one of a multitude of usually addictive ways, and some of that includes entertainment. Sometimes just eating is entertainment, and sometimes we need to put aside the actual eating. You know, burrito wrapper, man, a burrito sounds great. All of this one-time use needs to be put into perspective. Perhaps all of the packets, for an example, of one-time instant oatmeals, all of the packets can be designed so that they're also not only compostable, but basically they have a dedicated number assigned to them. And that number does get sorted in a recycle, but actually a repurpose facility. And so all of these, let's say for an example, oatmeal, one-time use oatmeal packets could be turned into something that could be made into a compressed fuel cell, so that when it gets cold up north, all of a sudden our delivery trucks can be, which already exist, by the way, we don't need to have a whole lot more designed. We can basically use that infrastructure to help distribute all of the resources that can help us all out. Some of us don't need money. Some of us need reasonable rainfall. What if there's such a shortage of water and some place has such an abundance? Can we think of any way to help somehow transport those things? If not, I might suggest that we go to sleep on it, think on it, pray on it. So this particular page has an urgency that you might not find in other presenters, because the sponsorship usually is just far too great. It's such a great thing that we have to worry about it. You know, how am I going to make ends meet? That's what most of everyone, I believe, is thinking. How am I going to make it all work? Because we're all shooting for an uncertain future, wanting to balance in, let's do what we came here to do. And for whatever reason, we're not able to observe the brittle, one-time use stopgap that goes between the lid and the bottle, which actually also usually has a clear plastic wrapper around that. And then when you buy those in bulk, they come in another big plastic wrapper. I'm all for convenience. And that's how I've been able to travel the distances that I've traveled. I don't need to stop to eat if I'm focused on doing a task. That's how it is when people are doing their work, following their passion. And I just would like to give a little bit of pause right now for anyone out there who doesn't understand and can't hold their tongue, who can't listen. This channel absolutely talks about the spiritual, the physical, and the mental. And it all ties together. So, if you're going to keep commenting, keep texting me, keep sending me emails that are only attempting to bring me down, all I've got to ask in public Is it because I'm talking about the trash that's on the ground that I can't pick up all by myself and that I have injured myself doing? Is it because it's true? And that's generally the point of contention that we have between the fixated on comfort and those who understand what the heck is going on, and how few of those remnants of the past, the glaciers that were thought to be lasting way longer than they are inevitably going to last, especially if we don't give a hoot, don't pollute. I wonder if anyone thinks like that anymore. I wonder if anyone has time to hear themselves think.
This tent is nice in that it has a bigger mesh screen for the front and back area, but it's very difficult to unzip the tent, whether you're using this corner or the opposite corner. But for the purpose of filming animals, oftentimes it's a lot less conspicuous to unzip the tent from the top window.
It was easier to record outside using the prior configuration of the tent that I had. Listen for this bear's growl as it walks off through the brush.
In the prior clip that I showed, I unzipped my tent so that I could record a bear that was outside of it, and I wouldn't have been able to do that quite as easily
with this new tent
in a way that was more discreet and also less threatening to the animals outside of the tent. So the other drawback to having the zippers line up and meet at the bottom of the tent is that here in this park in particular, in the past when there were a lot of animals, some of the animals had learned to nose the zippers apart at the bottom corner where they intersected, and then suddenly you'd find that a critter had invaded your tent space, and then it would seek out inevitably any kind of food that you had brought into the tent. I never had anything like that happen to me, both because I didn't bring food into the tent and also because I didn't have a tent whose zippers lined up at the bottom of the tent. So it's now something to be wary about in this new Big Agnes Big House 4 in the current style. The first style I had a sunroof overhead, where that area was just a clear piece of some kind of vinyl, plastic, whatever it was, and you could actually see the stars at night. It was pretty interesting. The next version that I had was still all orange and yellow, and it continued to have the front welcome mat that you had to stake down, and that caused a few bits of inconveniences getting in and out of the tent. But this one took away the welcome mat, and it changed the zipper configurations to where the zippers again allow you a bigger viewing area for the outside. But like, I was trying to record a beautiful bird with some blue as its primary color, but I couldn't identify it because when you look at these items through the mesh, they're not as clear as they could be. So I couldn't tell if it was a bunting of some sort or what. You know, I really just couldn't make any kind of easy guess. And to unzip the tent would require me to do it in a way where at the ground level, everything would be open. Even if I just wanted to open just a little portion of the tent to take video of the critter outside. So just a heads up, if you're using your tent for a wildlife screen at the same time, it's a lot less convenient to use this tent as it was in the prior iterations of the big house. However, it's still a very good tent. I'm appreciating it greatly, and that's about it for right now.
Another thing this tent no longer has is the pockets. The pockets that used to be right here that would line both sides of the tent. Now you only have these corner pockets, like right up here. And so for someone laying down on a cot, that used to be a really good stowage area for things like your phone or, you know, whatever you wanted to grab easily without having to fumble around with a you know, any kind of mess that was left on the ground. So I think that for people who are using this tent for more than one person, it's become a little bit less convenient in a few different ways. And the zippers, the way that they orient now at the bottom of the door for this tent, and the removal of some of the storage mesh, I feel like is a little bit of a step backwards compared to what this tent brought me in the past. But at the same time, again, you know, this is their newer design, and I have yet to experience it in inclement weather. We'll see what happens over the course of time. There's pros and cons to everything, right? As you can see, it's very difficult to zip this tent up all the way. Headed down south, US 385. Got the cruise control on in my four-wheel drive. The radio is off, but my mind is full of song. One final stop to go, but I won't stop for very long. I used to have a Firebird, it got me very far. When I sold her, I got back more than I paid for that car. We rode topless all the time and the suspension was legit. When we got to certain places, we both knew we had to quit. So now I've got my 4x4, it gets me very far, but to really special places you can't get there from a car. I've also got my 6-string and I keep it very close, but a compass and my bearings are the things I need the most. The mountains are sublime and the river is so cool, and the desert ever present is a test of every fool. And the shadow of the storm is where it always feels the best, but you better pay attention when you stop to take a rest. So now I'm in the place where I lay me down to sleep, and I look up to the heaven and I pray my soul to keep. And I wish that you were here so you could see the things I see, and then I also realize that we're all where we need to be. US 385, baby. Down south.